In the 4th year of my marriage to Lu Jingling, the female guard who had saved his life became pregnant. To allow her to rest and nurture the child, Lu Jingling disregarded my critical illness and, against all objections, sent me back to my hometown in Hanzhong. 3 years later, only after their child was safely born did he bring me back. But when Lu Jingling saw that youth whose eyes were filled with me, he suddenly flew into a rage. You would abandon me for him? I smiled as I handed him the divorce papers. You were right before, a life saved deserves a life in return. I looked at the woman before me. She was no longer a guard of the Lu household, but Lu Jingling's sole concubine. Madam, this is Huan Guer. You haven't met him yet. I stroked the child's small face and instructed the maid to reward him with a gold necklace. Song Qing immediately knelt to express gratitude, but a large hand seized her wrist and pulled her up. Family needn't observe such formalities. Lu Jingling then turned to me. Huan is my only child. I will not tolerate him suffering any injustice. His tone was gentle, yet his eyes brimmed with warning. 3 years apart, yet he had scarcely changed. Since we first met, this was only the second time we'd been separated for so long. The first was when he went off to war and didn't return for 2 years. We had just become betrothed then. I waited desperately, only to receive news of his death. That year, I fell gravely ill. My parents summoned countless renowned physicians, all declaring my days were numbered. Later, he returned, and my illness miraculously vanished. My parents often said that if Lu Jingling hadn't come back, I likely would have followed him in death. What I loved most about him were his eyes, clear and cool, yet filled with tenderness only when they met mine. On the day of our betrothal, he knelt before my parents, kowtowing countless times, pleading for their trust. He vowed this life would belong only to me. His heart forever unwavering. Seeing the blood on his forehead, my heart ached terribly. I believed his love for me was steadfast, that no third person could ever fit between us. But upon reflection, Song Qing was already by his side back then. He said he returned safely that time because Song Qing had taken a sword strike for him. Had this been 3 years ago, I would have grabbed his collar and demanded, "Why did you guard against me like that? Why did you send me to that desolate place for 3 years?" In those 3 years, he sent only one letter, to tell me he had a son, Huan Guer. But now, I merely nodded and told him, I know. Lu Jingling looked at me in surprise, about to say something, but I had already turned and walked toward the courtyard with my attendants. Something occurred to me, and I stopped, turning back to ask him, am I still staying in the Dew of Dawn courtyard? He paused, frowning. Of course. You will always be the matriarch of the Lu family. Not for long. I offered no reply to his words and turned to leave. 3 years had passed. Yet little had changed here, save for the absence of that loquat tree in the courtyard. The steward promptly explained, the young master adores loquats, fearing the child might enter and damage the mistress's belongings. The master had the tree transplanted to Lady Song's courtyard. He added, rest assured, madam, the master knows you loved it and has already ordered a premium loquat tree to be planted tomorrow. It's unnecessary, I replied softly with a faint smile. I no longer care for it. Lu Jingling's footsteps halted. He studied my expression intently before slowly approaching me and taking my hand. Still angry? He embraced me as if nothing had happened, as though I'd merely returned from a leisurely outing. Now that I'm back, we'll live our lives properly. He lowered his gaze to meet mine. In this lifetime, you shall be my only virtuous wife, and Qingqing my sole beloved concubine. There will be no third. Madam. His words had barely faded when a clear, resonant call echoed from the doorway. Before I could react, the newcomer draped a cloak over my shoulders, glaring at me reproachfully. You've only just recovered from your cold. Why are you dressed so lightly? Lu Jingling scrutinized the youth before him with a deeply guarded expression, his brow furrowed. Who is he? He demanded coldly. His name is Shuai. No sooner had I spoken than I met the youth's hurt, reproachful gaze, prompting me to hastily add, he's my man. Lu Jingling narrowed his eyes slightly, fixing him with a half smile, half scowl. What do you mean? Your man? Not wanting to get entangled with him, I simply stated I needed to pack my things and asked him to leave, but this only made Lu Jingling angrier. If anyone must leave, it's the outsider. Che isn't an outsider. Hearing my words, Lu Jingling struggled to suppress his rage, yet in the next instant, the fire in his eyes vanished. He suddenly smiled, pulled me into the bedroom, and stroked my hair. Pouting at me, using some greenhorn, this isn't cute at all. He gripped my chin firmly. I allow you to have your little tantrums, and I'm willing to patiently coax you back, but this joke has gone too far, understand? His movement was too forceful, causing his collar to gape open, revealing several faint scratch marks, likely from last night. A wave of nausea washed over me. I shoved him away harshly. If you don't like it, go find concubine song. Don't take it out on me. He stared at me coldly for a moment before sweeping his sleeve and leaving. Ever since he'd become involved with Song Qing, I'd seen that departing back countless times. It used to be my nightmare. Close my eyes and I'd see his look of disgust, his mercilessly turning back. Madam, Shuai hurried to my side, cradling my face with concern. Has he hurt you again? His hand brushed the dagger at his waist, a flash of murderous intent in his eyes. Don't act rashly. You mustn't interfere in our affairs. He pursed his lips, looking at me with hurt. He treats you like this. And you still side with him? I sighed. Please leave now. I'm exhausted. His eyes reddened, but he said nothing and obediently exited. Early the next morning, Lu Jingling arrived at my courtyard. The red marks on his neck were unmistakable, and he made no effort to conceal them. I need to discuss something with you. I remained silent, waiting for him to continue. I wish to register Huan Guer under your name. You're dreaming. What did you say? He slammed his hand on the table, leaping to his feet. You can never conceive again. What's wrong with having a child in your name? I stared at him in disbelief. How dare he bring this up? Thank you for reminding me. A child's life stands between us. 3 years ago, I too had a child. My health had always been fragile. When I finally conceived, the physician warned me repeatedly, no mental strain, no emotional turmoil, only careful rest. Even slight mood swings could endanger the pregnancy. Yet Song Qing came begging at my door, heavily pregnant. I will never forget how I lay in a pool of blood while Lu Jingling carried Song Qing away, his expression resolute. I lost my child and fell completely ill. Yet, to ensure Song Qing could rest and nurture her pregnancy, he took advantage of my brother's demotion and sent me back to my hometown in Hanzhong. Hanzhong lay 1,000 miles from Jinling. He gave no thought to whether my frail body could survive the journey. Lu Jingling's expression flickered with pain for a moment before he continued with earnest persuasion. You know, this life of mine was bought with Qingqing's own. Now that she has but this one request, how could I bear to refuse? A sound came from outside just then. The youth stood by the window, looking at me with worry. Lu Jingling followed my gaze, his voice tight with fury. He stayed in your courtyard last night? Do you know how I reached Hanzhong? I asked softly. Do you know I caught the plague along the way? That I nearly died by bandit blades? Lu Jingling's expression froze. How? How could that be? Do you know who saved me? Lu Jingling's gaze involuntarily shifted to the youth outside the window. Him? I nodded. Before, I didn't understand why you'd hurt me time and again for Song Qing. Now I do. Lu Jingling's breath caught, and he stumbled back several steps. A debt of life-saving grace. A bond forged in life and death. It truly was unlike anything ordinary. I had once slit my wrists, threatening death to force him to send Song Qing away. Back then, he had merely stared at the wound on my wrist and told me calmly, a debt of life-saving grace. A bond forged in life and death. It truly is unlike anything ordinary. Lu Jingling. I cut him off. The divorce papers are already prepared. Sign them. I wrote these divorce papers when I was stricken with the plague. Lu Jingling took them and studied them carefully. I whispered to him, back then. I thought I wouldn't survive. I wasn't afraid of death. But I dreaded being buried alongside you after I died. His hand trembled slightly. And he remained silent for a long time. This divorce agreement was what he had always wanted. Wasn't it? After I left, he could make Song Qing his official wife. And his most beloved son would gain legitimate status. By any measure, this arrangement was no loss for him. Yet he hurled the divorce papers to the floor. You merely wished to fly away with that boy. Yet you dare pin the blame on me? Once again, I underestimated his shamelessness. You want to cast me aside to pursue your little mistress? Dream on. With that, he swept his sleeves and stormed out. Hong Xiao entered, picked up the divorce papers, and tucked them away. Madam, what should we do since he refuses? I watched Lu Jingling's retreating figure. Never mind. We can involve the authorities. 20 strokes of the cane? I can endure that. Madam. Xue Qianche hurried in. Your health is fragile. How could you endure such punishment? His hand instinctively reached for the dagger at his waist. I'll handle these troubles for you. His tone was unyielding. Qianche was bought from the slave market. I gave him that name. Before meeting him, I never knew a person's life and heart could be so simple. I bought him, showed him a little care, and he was willing to give me his life. When I encountered bandits back then, I thought my days were numbered and only wished to die with integrity. I never imagined this young slave would charge in alone to save me. He was badly wounded, yet he carried me back step by step, leaving a trail of blood in his wake. I summoned every physician in the city to tend his wounds. All declared he wouldn't survive, urging me to prepare for his funeral. He knew rescuing me meant certain death. Yet he hesitated not a moment. He said his life belonged to me. If I died, he wouldn't live alone. Given that, why not fight for it? Such pure, unwavering devotion felt utterly foreign to me. Killing him would be easy. But have you considered that after my death, I must still be buried alongside him? His expression shifted, yet the murderous intent in his eyes remained. Moreover, I must raise his child. Only then did his hand on the knife hilt fully relax. Then I shall heed my lady's words. In the days that followed, Lu Jingling rarely returned to the manor. The only time I confronted him, holding the divorce papers in the study, he escaped by climbing out the window on the other side. After that, he didn't return for several days. Madam, I've uncovered the truth. Qianche placed several confessions bearing fingerprints before me. Since his return, he'd been investigating my past, how I contracted the plague and was later abducted by bandits. I studied them closely, yet felt no surprise. Give this to Lu Jingling. I handed the top confession to Hong Xiao. Lu Jingling, who had long refused to return home, arrived at my courtyard half an hour after seeing the confession. His breath was ragged, his hair slightly disheveled. He had rushed here. What do you want? His first words were accusatory. I found it rather amusing. I thought you'd be most concerned whether my health has fully recovered. His eyes flickered, and he fell silent. At my glance, Hong Xiao placed the remaining confessions before Lu Jingling. Back then, Mayan lay far from the plague zone. Every guest and staff member remained unharmed, yet I alone fell ill. As for those bandits, they'd always merely plundered passing merchants, never rampaged into a town so brazenly before. They came for nothing else but to abduct me and torture me to death. Given all this, I absolutely refuse to believe no one orchestrated it. I once suspected Lu Jingling was behind it. Now that the truth is clear, it turns out he had nothing to do with it. It was all Song Qing's doing. It's all in the past. Why bring it up again? Past? With such a casual remark, you dismiss all the suffering I endured? I walked slowly to his side, my voice gentle, naturally. It's so my husband can uphold justice for me. Without glancing at the testimony, he tore it into shreds. Expressionless. So he knew. He had known all along. Chincha's blade was already drawn. But I caught his arm. What does my lord mean by this? To block my path to the authorities as well? Only then did he look at me, speaking with solemn earnestness. Now that you've returned safely, why not let bygones be bygones? She is Huan Gur's birth mother. Can you bear to see an infant lose its mother? Seeing my silence, his expression softened slightly. Ian, you too have been a mother. Surely you can understand a mother's heart. What if I can't? His face instantly turned cold. Ian. She was merely momentarily confused. Why must you be so relentless? You used to be the kindest, most understanding person. How did you become like this? I looked into those eyes I once cherished most, and a wave of sorrow washed over me. We met at 10, our first stirrings of love born for each other. 15 long years passed. I knew his affection for me had faded, even vanished. But I never imagined he could care so little about my very life. Lu Jingling had my courtyard heavily guarded. As he left, he said, I hope you'll consider this family, me, and my child. Don't act on impulse. Madam. Shui Qianche climbed over the wall, holding a large bouquet of flowers in every color imaginable. When we rode horses on the grasslands of Hanzhong, you said you loved the scent. Smell it, doesn't it remind you? I lowered my head and inhaled gently. Yes. These past 3 years, not a single emotion of mine escaped his notice. These days, while I've been confined here, his gaze has never left me, always filled with worry. Madam, let me take you out. Wherever you wish to go, I will take you. Suddenly, my nose stung. All the pent-up grievances of these years began to burst forth. Seeing my tears, he froze for a moment before instinctively raising his hand to wipe them away. I will always be with you. Though confined, Song Qing still paid his respects outside the courtyard morning and evening. Today, for some reason, the courtyard gate opened, and she entered carrying little Huan. But by the time she arrived, it was already noon. Little Huan fell ill last night, so the master asked me to come later to pay my respects to the lady. Holding the child, she explained with a smile, little Huan is my husband's only child. I often tell him he spoils him too much. When you have time, lady, please help me persuade him. Her gaze drifted to my belly. Had the lady's child survived, my husband would have cherished him even more. Alas, that child's fortune was too thin. I had never sought to trouble her, yet her hatred for me ran deep in her bones. Hong Xiao, give Auntie Song a few pastries. I patted the back of Hong Xiao's hand. Her eyes darted, understanding the message. Hate churned in Song Qing's eyes, yet helpless, she could only eat the pastries without tasting them. That night, the mansion erupted in chaos. Lu Jingling finally returned, personally leading men to my courtyard. What did you give Qingqing? Why did you do this? I sighed. She sought to destroy me. Retaliation in kind is hardly excessive, is it? Lu Jingling's eyes narrowed dangerously as he ground out, where's the antidote? I handed him the divorce papers. Sign and let me go. The antidote will reach you. He stared at me in disbelief. You would kill for this? I sighed. You're the one I should have killed, but if you died, I'd still be a Lu. I refuse. She saved my life. Lu Jingling slowly lifted his gaze to meet mine, his eyes brimming with guilt and anguish. After this, I'll have repaid my debt to her. Ian, he stepped swiftly beside me, gripping my shoulders urgently. Ian, you're the only one in my heart. But I cannot ignore her kindness, especially since she's Huan Gur's birth mother. I nodded in agreement. You truly can't stand by and watch her die. A flicker of relief passed through Lu Jingling's eyes. I smiled and told him, then sign the divorce papers. From now on you repay your debt, and I'll live my life. He clenched his jaw, knuckles turning white, pointing at Shui Qianche. Is your desire to leave me because of what happened back then, or because of him? Both. Lu Jingling kicked over a nearby stool with a loud clatter. I won't let you have her. I shrugged. So you want Song Qing to die? He left without a Word, the courtyard gate was locked once more. Word spread that Lu Jingling consulted every renowned physician, even summoning the Imperial doctors to his residence, yet none could counteract the poison. Days later, Lu Jingling came to see me. Diane, you truly wish to leave me? Yes. He gave a weary, bitter smile. Very well, I'll grant your wish. He took the divorce papers, signed them, and pressed his seal. I had lived here for 4 years. Yet, as I departed, I felt not a shred of lingering attachment. Perhaps, long ago, I had already known this was never my home. As I packed my belongings, Lu Jingling stood at the doorway the entire time, as if he harbored endless affection for me, his first wife. Ian. The familiar, doting call came from the doorway. Before I could turn, tears already fell. Brother is here. I looked up to see my brother's eyes redden too. He pulled me into his arms. I failed to protect you, letting you suffer wrongs. He had angered the previous emperor with his frank counsel and was exiled to Lingnan. Thankfully, hardship gave way to sweetness. The new emperor's first decree upon ascending the throne was to restore my brother to his former position. Brother. My tears could no longer be contained. I nearly cried out loud, hysterically releasing all the grievances and pain I'd endured over the years. My brother held me like this, staying with me as I wept. After our parents died, in this world, the only ones we siblings could rely on were each other. Don't be afraid. I'm here. After calming me, he turned to Lu Jingling and delivered a powerful punch. Lu Jingling fell to the ground. He didn't fight back, only kept his head down, unable to meet my brother's gaze. Song Qing, standing nearby, hesitated to intervene. Though skilled in martial arts, the poison hadn't fully worn off yet, so she dared not act, merely watching as Lu Jingling was struck. What promises did you make when you married my sister? How dare you treat her like this? My brother's blows grew heavier, and soon Lu Jingling's face was covered in bruises. Brother. I stepped forward to hold him back. Let's go home. He'd just been reinstated to his official post. I didn't want to cause him any trouble. It was hard enough for us to be reunited again. I departed the Lu household for good, taking my dowry and servants with me. Lu Jingling followed me to the gate, yet I never once looked back. It was exactly as I remembered. I gazed upon the courtyard of our home, every blade of grass, every tree remained unchanged. I'd feared that after my brother left the capital, this place would be utterly ruined. The old steward had returned too. He looked at me kindly and explained. After the young master left the capital, His Majesty sent people to guard the place. His Majesty was the former 4th prince. He and my brother were close friends. My brother's demotion wasn't solely for offending the emperor. What the late emperor feared more was the 4th prince's growing influence. Return to your quarters to rest. My brother interrupted. He escorted me inside. But before he could speak, the steward arrived with word of an imperial gift. I assumed it was for my brother. But to my astonishment, the emperor had directly conferred upon me the title of Princess of Pingyang. Brother. This. His expression shifted, a slight frown crossing his brow. First, express our gratitude. In no time, news of my appointment as princess spread throughout the capital. That very night, brother went to the palace to express his gratitude. Must such gratitude be offered at night? Hong Shao also wondered if the palace gates are locked. How could the young master have left? Brother didn't return until noon the next day. But when he came back, a distinct red mark was visible on his neck, though he tried desperately to conceal it. I saw it. My heart skipped a beat. His Majesty had no consorts yet. Could those marks on my brother's neck be from the Empress Dowager? I covered my mouth. Could my brother's return be because of his relationship with the Empress Dowager? What are you thinking? Huh? I turned to find my brother glaring sideways at me. I was thinking about what to eat for lunch. It's His Majesty. What? He pulled his collar wide open, revealing marks all over his neck and chest, traces of their intimacy. The Emperor did it. Qianche had been placed in the Imperial Guard by my brother. His martial skills were indeed well suited for the role. Hand over the evidence to the Imperial Guard. They're currently investigating the collusion between bandits and officials in the capital. What Lu Jingling tore to shreds that day was merely my forged confession. His actions made it clear what a shameless husband he was. Qianche took the confession, his eyes gleaming with excitement. He'd kept the witness locked up since capturing him, and now he'd naturally hand him over to the Imperial Guard too. Lu Jingling had been loyal to the former crown prince. Now that the new emperor had ascended the throne, he naturally wouldn't be trusted anymore. The Imperial Guard were a cold-hearted lot, driven solely by their mission, with no regard for social hierarchy. Soon, the Lu residence was surrounded. Song Qing tried to resist, but Lu Jingling stopped her. He promised he would find a way to rescue her. Song Qing believed him wholeheartedly. After all, they were sworn companions. For her sake, Lu Jingling would even risk my life. But she never imagined that the man who shared her bed would write a divorce decree as his first act after her arrest. Colluding with bandits was a grave crime. Song Qing faced certain death. Yet, there was one thing I still needed to ask her. The cell door swung open. Qianche supported me as I slowly stepped inside, then shielded me with his body. Song Qing, her martial arts crippled, looked up at me, utterly weakened. Have you come to mock me? I did not deny it. Do you know Jingling has already divorced you? Her expression shifted. A sorrowful smile touched her lips. But when she turned to face me, her eyes burned with hatred. So what? Do you think you've won? That you've become Lu Jingling's most beloved woman? I remained non-committal. The hatred in her eyes deepened. Stop deluding yourself. If he truly loved you, would he have silently allowed me to kill you? The unconfirmed suspicion in my heart finally found its answer in this moment. Indeed, without Lu Jingling's authorization and tacit approval, how could a mere concubine of the Lu household reach out to strike from 1,000 miles away? You're jealous that I've won Jingling's love, so you're trying to drive a wedge between us. Song Qing sneered coldly, looking at me as if I were a fool. I met her gaze calmly. Jingling had no reason to kill me. Only one person in this world wanted me dead to take my place. And that was you. She burst into uncontrollable laughter, blood slowly seeping from her wounds. You're wrong. The one who wanted you dead most was Lu Jingling. She coughed violently before continuing. When your brother was demoted and the fourth prince fell from power, the former crown prince stood but a step away from the throne, but with a sworn enemy as his brother-in-law. Do you think Lu Jingling would be trusted? Not only would he not be trusted, he'd be implicated. Only by killing you could he prove his loyalty to the former crown prince and distance himself from the scandal. Don't you find everything he's done to me now eerily familiar? He only loves himself. Song Qing's laughter rang with bitter sorrow. We were all so foolish, believing we were different to him, but in truth, there was no difference at all. I stepped out of the prison cell amidst Song Qing's tearful laughter. Crossing the threshold, I nearly stumbled, but Qianche caught me in time. Hong Xiao, I turned to her. You knew Lu Jingling no later than I did. Would you say he suddenly became this way, or was he always like this and I simply failed to see it? Hong Xiao shook her head, eyes reddened. I don't know either. All I know is he made you suffer so much, yet now he walks free. Heaven truly has no eyes. Indeed, how could such a man go unpunished? A sudden thought flashed through my mind. If expelling me from Jinling was meant to curry favor with the former crown prince, now that the new emperor has ascended and my brother has returned to his former position, why does he continue to shield Song Qing? Let's go back. You were the former crown prince's man. Song Qing froze when she saw me return and speak so bluntly. Her eyes darted around as she pondered for a moment before asking, how do you know? Not even Lu Jingling knows about this. After the former crown prince was deposed, he was granted the title of Prince of Han and resides in Hanqing. The new emperor hasn't troubled him, but my brother says Prince Han has been secretly training troops. Are you certain he doesn't know? Song Qing stared at me blankly. After a long moment, she murmured to herself, so that's how it is. So that's why. Tears fell silently. I remained silent too, the dungeon enveloped in stillness. After an unknown length of time, she lifted her head to look at me again. Her eyes filled with hatred. Go find my maid. Xiao Lian. I knew this hatred was directed at Lu Jingling, and that she wanted me to avenge her as well. All right. Her lips parted, but no words came out. I turned and left the cell, immediately instructing Qian Che to find her. He had met Xiao Lian before, so he should locate her quickly. Upon returning home, the steward rushed over. An important guest has arrived. Huh? Who? The steward winked and hinted for ages, but I couldn't decipher his meaning. He sighed and whispered, in the young master's bedchamber. Oh. I see. His Majesty has arrived. I dared not disturb him, so I retreated to my own quarters, trying to make myself as inconspicuous as possible. It wasn't until nightfall that Hong Xiao came to report the distinguished guest had already departed. What kind of situation is this? Hong Xiao, however, looked envious. His Majesty is quite devoted. He's even set up the Imperial harem just for our young master. But my heart felt a pang of sorrow. By occupying my brother like this, what would happen to him when their affection faded? When the entire world's men and women were open for him to choose from, what would become of my brother? These days, my brother naturally sensed my worry. One afternoon, he smiled and reassured me. I value my feelings for him deeply, but what truly matters to me is serving the people. Whether this love exists or not, my aspirations will never change. Only then did I feel at ease. Days later, Qian Che returned, bringing someone with him. I lifted the black veil from her eyes. It was Xiaolian. Qian Che said, Lu Jingling has also sent people to search for her. It seems you truly possess something of great importance. She knows martial arts. I had people investigate, though she was Song Qing's maid. Privately they addressed each other as sisters. Her skills were likely trained by Song Qing herself. Xiao Lian looked up at me. Why did you capture me? Song Qing sent me to find you. She lowered her eyes in thought, seemingly weighing the truth of my words. After a long moment, she lifted her head. I can give you the item, but you must promise to bring out Brother Huan and hand him over to me. Then let us leave safely. That depends on whether what you hold is worth me doing so. Xiao Lian named a location, in that dry well. Qian Che glanced at me. Seeing my nod, he dashed out like a whirlwind. As the sun dipped below the western mountains, Qian Che returned. Dirt clung to his clothes, and his face was smudged. Madam, he said, handing me a thick stack of letters. Look quickly. I opened one. It was a letter written by Prince Han to Lu Jingling a month prior. They were indeed plotting rebellion. Lu Jingling was one of Prince Han's spies within the capital. I immediately took the letters to my brother's study. He took them, examining each one carefully. I'm heading to the palace now to present this to His Majesty. Watching his retreating figure, I knew Lu Jingling's path had reached its end. 3 days later, Lu Jingling was arrested for treason, and the Prince of Han was also captured and brought back to the capital. As the Emperor's own elder brother, the Prince of Han could not be executed so soon after the Emperor's accession. Instead, he was confined to house arrest. But Lu Jingling was different. The Emperor vented all his fury upon him, sentencing him to be torn apart by 5 horses. In his youth, Lu Jingling's father was falsely accused, leading to the family's decline. Yet he grew up amidst the elite, enduring constant scorn and contempt. This made him crave supreme power more than anyone. Now stripped of everything, reduced to a prisoner, his suffering must be unbearable. News reached me from the Imperial dungeons that Lu Jingling wished to see me. When I arrived, he was already covered in wounds from torture. I thought you wouldn't want to see me again. He wiped the blood from his face with his sleeve and smiled at me. For a moment, I seemed to see the 17-year-old Lu Jingling again, full of vigor and ambition back then. To bid farewell to an old friend, I said softly. His eyes dimmed. Will you hate me forever? I shook my head. No. He frowned, a hint of regret and reluctance flickering in his eyes. He knew only hatred would ensure I remembered him. This lifetime. I'm the one who wronged you. He tried to rise, but collapsed heavily to the floor. But please believe me, if I'd had a choice, I never would have hurt you. You're the kindest person in this world to me, and the one I love most. In the next life, I'll treat you well. I'll make it up to you. I smiled softly. Next life? But in the next life, I don't want to meet you. With that, I turned and left the dungeon. That was the last time I saw Lu Jingling. We had been entangled for 15 years. I had thought we would be as devoted as my parents, staying together lovingly for a lifetime. I never imagined it would end like this. Half a month later, Lu Jingling was executed by being torn apart by 5 horses. His death was gruesome, yet it saved Huan Gu'er. Xiao Lian left Jingling with the child, and no one knew where they went. My brother's career soared, placing him second only to the emperor. Qian Che also excelled in the Imperial Guard. At night, I went to my brother's study. I want to return to Hanzhong, I said. My brother looked at me questioningly. Why go back again? I cherished his eyes most, clear and cool, yet filled with tenderness only when he looked at me. He nodded with understanding. If this is what you wish to do, I won't stop you. But one thing, whatever happens, you must tell me. Don't hide it from me like before. All right. I didn't tell Qian Che about my departure. He's still young. Before, he always felt I'd saved his life and was determined to repay me. But now, I want him to have a chance to choose anew. Packing was quick. Hong Xiao followed me as usual. Are you sure you won't stay? I could have my brother arrange a good marriage for you. She frowned and glared at me. I still want to see the children I taught. All right. We'll go back together. Autumn had arrived by the time we returned, bringing a desolate chill to the night air. I stepped outside and stood on the porch, gazing at the moonlight. Suddenly, a weight settled on my shoulder as a cloak was draped over me. My husband always stands out in the wind wearing so little. I turned to see his eyes, clear and gentle in the moonlight. You. How did you get here? He looked at me with a hint of reproach. I told you. Wherever you are, I will be. Yet you abandoned me. As if you no longer wanted me. I didn't abandon you. I just thought your future in the Imperial Guard was limitless. You didn't need. What future? He suddenly lowered his head, burying his face in my neck. I thought you liked me that way. So I worked hard at my duties. My heart softened, and I raised my hand to stroke his hair. His tears fell into my collar. I will always be your little slave. Fine. The end.